Good afternoon, everybody. Christian here today. I do have a prophetic word to share with you. This came to me in the form of a dream a couple of days ago. The Lord gave me this, and it will give you insight into what is about to happen to you, as well as some insights on maybe how to deal with certain events that are going to happen to you. Okay, so let me give you this dream, and it's a long dream. I'm not going to give you every single detail in it because I didn't remember every detail. I'll just give you whatever the Lord reminds me to share with you in this moment in time. And so this is the basic gist of what's about to happen to you. So I see myself, and I'm in a grocery store. It might have had other items, but I know it had groceries in it. And I've seen this before in dreams. So I'm in this grocery store, and I have purchased some items. However, there's a weird detail in this store where you purchase the items that you have collected and gathered up, and then you go to another area of the store and they give you your change and your groceries. So you gather them all up, you bring them in, you set them down, you pay the bill, you go over here, you get the change, and you get the groceries. Anyway, so I've done the first part, and I'm now working on the second part. And there's a man, and he's standing behind the counter, and it becomes apparent in the dream that I have overpaid for my groceries. I've given them some money and a 50 that I thought was a 5. So I have basically overpaid by $45. And this $50 bill comes into question because the man behind the counter looks at the bill, and it has a red tint to it. And speaking regarding U.S. currency is green. I don't have a 50, so I can't show it to you, but U.S. currency is all the same color. And this one, though, looks like it had been set in Kool-Aid for a while and then dried out, so it had a red tint to it. And the guy was giving me a hard time about it. Now, for me, in a normal situation, I would think, okay, if you're untrusting, as this man was, of the $50 bill, give me my 50 back, I'll give you a 5, and then don't worry about it. Somebody else will accept my $50 bill. It's a damage, but it's good. It's not a counterfeit. But he was adamant he was not going to give me my 50 back. He wanted to keep it, to research it, and he wasn't going to give me my 50 back. So now I don't have my groceries because I haven't paid the bill in total. I don't have my 50 because he's holding it. And I had to give him another $5, and I'm not very pleased with this. I feel like he's not being very thoughtful, and $50 to me is a lot of money. So I'm not happy with the situation. The next scene in the dream, I'm in another state, and I feel like it's like Nevada or something, and I'm thinking about becoming governor of this state so that I can get my revenge. Or at least a part of the benefit of being governor is I'll be able to get my revenge on this individual who crossed me. And as I'm thinking about what I might be able to do is my revenge, the thought comes to mind, is this what Christ would want you to do? And so I thought about that for a little bit. And then I could see in the dream that there was like some sticks in front of me that I had to walk through. And I knew and I understood that this is one of those things where God's telling you, I want you to behave a certain way, and it's uncomfortable for you to behave that way. You have to walk in the Spirit, not in the flesh, when you're following God's Word. And if you do that, you have to die to flesh, right? You have to die to self and move forward, accept the persecution, and just follow God, knowing that He allowed it, He's going to see you through it, and you just accept it, So in this dream, I say, okay, I know that's not how God would want me to behave, so I'm going to dismiss what happened and just continue on. So I passed through this, I would call them weeds or something. I get past them, and all of a sudden, something has changed in me. I'm thinking to myself about how I should be trying to win as many people to Christ as I possibly can. And I'm regretful that I live so far away from where I'm called to be, in this moment in time. Because that's time going to be lost where I'm traveling between point A to point B that I could have already been there ministering had I not moved so far away, kind of thing, And so I have this regret that I have been inefficient with my time regarding the ministry. And then I see, as I'm walking toward my destination, I see an individual and some other people, and it's like a little apartment complex. And I see this individual, and I start to tell them about Jesus, tell them about Christ. And as I start to tell this to him, I don't recall what I said. He immediately takes off running. I mean, just flat out running as far away from me as he possibly could get. And I thought, okay, and I kept moving forward down the road. Then I came to another house. I walked into this house, and there was a woman standing next to a pool table, and I think she was like a stripper or something. She was a sex worker of some type. She was dressed and everything like that, but I just knew in the dream that's what she was. And I was talking to her about the Lord and trying to witness to her. And another individual walks up, because there's a bunch of people here. It's like a party going on or something. And like a governor of this area walked up to see what we're talking about. And I start to explain to them, what I'm talking about with this woman. And then I go into another area of the house. I don't know what happened to that conversation. And I go on to the next area. And there's a bunch of different rooms. And I know somewhere in this house is my brother. And I've been separated from him. I don't know where he's gone. But I figure we'll meet up again at some point in time. So I'm kind of moseying around in this house that's not my house. I'm just looking for someone that I can talk to. And I go into another section of this house, and I open the door. And as I start to go into this part of the house, an individual meets me, and they're very, very angry. And as he's walking up, I see that his face is melted. The skin on his face is melted. He's been badly burned, and there's someone behind him that was in that room, but I can't, see them very well. I can't get to them because I'm dealing with this person who's approached me, and like I said, they're very angry, and they demand that I leave the house immediately. And I'm aware when he asks me to do this that I am wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and if I go outside, this is kind of cooler outside, and I think the sun's going down. And so I go outside like, okay, I don't want to cause any offense, so I go outside. And as I'm outside, all of a sudden the sun comes up, like it just turned into a nice day, a beautiful day. The shorts was not a problem anymore. And I'm out there, and I see people moseying around outside, and someone comes walking by, and I recognize them that they are a director of movies, And so I start to witness to this person as they're going their way about the Lord, and he dismisses it. He says, well, no, I mean, there's no sense in being a Christian. You can't be perfect, and so why even try, blah, 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 blah. And so I took what he would understand, and I tried to explain it to him and say, if you have two scenes of a movie, and you're going to put them side by side, you try to get them to be as congruent as possible so that they match, Now, you don't just look at that and say, well, it can't be perfect, so why even try? You try, right? So it's the same kind of scenario. And that was the end of the dream. So this is what I learned from this dream. When I woke up, I understood that the Lord was showing me that he is going to change my focus. It doesn't mean you will quit what you're doing, what he's called you to do, but in the area that you are called to, the Lord's going to change your heart to where you're going to really care about winning the lost. You're going to, each individual person, as in my own personal life as a prophet, I typically speak with Christians, people who are already believers, right? That's typically who I see. And so, going and winning the lost isn't something that I spend a great deal of time focused on. But the Lord was showing me in the future, he's going to change you and to focus on that way. Also, the Lord was showing me that there's some cleaning up of the heart that's going to take place before that, where there's things that have happened to you that have been done wrong to you that you could have a serious justified gripe over, but the Lord's saying, let me handle those things. And as I saw in this dream, every detail that happened because the Lord wanted it to happen. There wasn't anything that I couldn't make somebody have a good heart toward hearing the message. Some people ran away. Some people argued. Some people were very angry. They had been burned in the past and they had, forced me out of the place. But at no point in time did I put up any resistance and say, no, I will chase you down and make you hear it, or I will argue with you every step of the way, or I will, refuse to exit the home, or whatever the thing is. In every detail, I understood the Lord controlled their heart. Some people were going to hear it, some people weren't, and He controlled my heart to change it to where it was now a priority for me to win the loss and to do it on the 18th level, because I no longer was satisfied with living way over here and coming over here on occasion and ministering as the Lord directed me to. I felt bad about the distance and the time lost traveling that distance. You understand what I'm saying? So there's just some changes that are going to be happening to the body of Christ. And again, it's important that we understand that I am not one of those people who believes that everybody goes to church, gets saved, and then immediately go out and win souls. I don't think you can actually do it. I think when you attempt to do that, you get all kinds of damage, because people who immediately get saved and don't spend time educating themselves, spending time with the Word, spending time with the Lord, you're not trained up to the level you need to be at to then go and be effective in communicating with other people. Also, I noticed in the dream that you're dealing with all walks. So you have people who are like I said, the sex worker, as well as the governors, So it was just something that it's an important detail that the Lord's kind of showing me. This is what's going to happen. This is what's coming, and this is how you should behave and how you should think. And you need to go through the difficult parts willingly, happily, not begrudgingly, but trusting the Lord. He sent us, and okay. I mean, you think that Paul could suffer the persecution he suffered and still get up the next day and go do the exact same thing. Many times we look at things and say, hey, I tried to talk to somebody, they ran away from me, ergo I shouldn't be a minister, or whatever. I tried to talk to this person, they got all angry and started yelling at me because they had been burned in the past, kind of thing. That's not enough reason for you to stop doing it. We kind of think, wait a minute, if I was called to do something, it would be easy. All of a sudden, everybody would listen to me, something like that. That's not the case. So what the Lord is showing me is that each individual person, as the Lord brings them by me and I minister as I can, they're going to react differently. And that's perfectly fine. It's acceptable. It's how the Lord was designed it. So accept it, move forward. That's what the Lord has shared with me to share with you.